Get started? Yes, thank you. As you just heard, today's session is being recorded and will be made available to you in the coming week. So welcome here today. Our speaker today, Paul Tu, is going to talk to us about respect, relate, and remain. He'll share insights on how to build and maintain healthy relationships with the young people we engage with in our work in our communities. In this session, we'll hear about the importance of choosing our battles with youth wisely and how crucial it is that we prioritize positive outcomes over our personal feelings. Paul will share how to shed some of our old school ways of thinking while maintaining that traditional respect will always remain relevant. A little bit about Paul. Paul Tu III is a co-founder of Minary's Dream Alliance Incorporated and the Bayside H.O.Y.A.S, helping our youth achieve success. The Bayside H.O.Y.A.S was established to address the various needs in the Eastern Shore community, such as single-family homes, the need for positive African-American male mentors, and the lack of outlets for youth. Paul also serves as the program director for the Adolescent Clubhouse, the first on the Eastern Shore, where goals include education and skills development for youth 12 to 17 years old. Thank you so much for being with us here today, Paul. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction, Angie, and thank everybody for taking the time to jump on this month's presentation. I'm Paul Tu. The bio that was read, that's me. Go a little bit about who I am. I'm a father, I'm a husband, youth mentor, coach football at Kent County High School, basketball, Parks and Rec here in Kent County, social activist, substitute teacher in the county, character counts coach in Queen Anne's County, and I'm also a co-founder, co-executive director of Minary's Dream Alliance. My favorite, well, not my favorite, because being my favorite would be being a father, but my second favorite thing on here, I'm a well-intended troublemaker. I definitely am a firm believer in good trouble. Next slide, please. Well, we're going to jump right in. Before we jump right in, I just want everybody to know I'm not a professor, I'm not a teacher, and I don't take myself too serious. At any time, if you want to jump in with a question or you want to add something to this, please feel free to do so. My presentations are very, very conversational style. Like, I don't want to just sit and chit chat and listen to my voice for the duration of this. So if you hear something and you got something to add, or you have a question about something that I say, not have to wait to the end. Please feel free to jump in, and I will do my best to get your question answered. I'm a native Washingtonian. I'm an avid Commanders fan. And I just, my passion is the young people. I try to be what I wanted or what I needed when I was their age. I'm 44 years old, and I'm still very much a big kid in my personal and my professional life. So that's just a little bit about who I am. Also, before I get started, just one of my I won't say mentors, I'll just say a lady who really helped me get into this field and took a shot on me almost 20 years ago is on here. So anytime I'm around Miss H.O.Y.A.S, I always have to give her some flowers. I love her to death and to life, right? When I jumped into this field, Heidi was one of the first people that believed in me. Candy Edwards, H.O.Y.A.S, and then Holly Ireland. I always am forever grateful to those three women. So good morning, Heidi, and it's a pleasure to see you.
Happy to see you on here.
All right. So with the
love right back.
With the pleasantries being done, we'll jump into the triple R approach, is what we call it, and it's I'm going to go over why we use the 3 R's. I'll tell you about the 3 R's, and I'll also tell you that and share with you some of our success stories with respect, relate, and remain. Working with young people, like you all know, I'm preaching to the choir. It's not a one size fits all. It's not a we're experts and you're not the experts. It's very much being patient. It's very much always learning. It's very much being flexible. It's very much not taking ourselves serious. We have a lot of success with our young people. And we firmly believe here at MDA that it's because we practice, we preach, and we also have our staff, not selling my stuff, we have our staff use this approach. Kids, whether we believe it or not, they know BS. They see it a mile away. They're very, very big on authenticity. They're very big on wanting to know your motives. They want people that work with them because they want to. Of course, it's the real world, so we get a paycheck, but I love to see people in this field and working with young people that it's a passion more than a paycheck. So keep that at the front of your mind, kids. If you think you're getting over on them or you think they don't know BS, trust me, they do. Next slide, please. Respect. Everything that we do, we're leading with respect. The respect that I demand, the respect that I command is something that I always give, something that we give our young people. We meet them where they are. And that looks like a bunch of different things. It's a bunch of different settings, but I'll just give you all a brief example. I could be in a grocery store and a kid might not have been in a group 2 or 3 times. I catch that kid in the grocery store. We might have a group right there. Of course, it's not an official group, but it's an impromptu check-in. They could have their shiesty mask on. They could have their hood on. I'm not asking you to take that off. I just want to have a conversation. I just want to check in with you. It's all about meeting them where they are. And that looks, like I said, that could be in the grocery store, that could be at a basketball game. Hey, step out in the hallway with me real quick, or let's go over in this corner real quick. I'm not put off by some of the stuff that other adults are put off. I had a kid jump in. We were on our way to an MLK program 2 years ago. I picked this kid up at like 6:30 in the morning, and he gets in the car and he's reeking of marijuana. It's all over him. I'm like, it's not even 7 o'clock in the morning. Uh, why? And we had a conversation on the way to the program. He had to speak that day at the program. And I didn't pay attention to the impact, but he doubled back at the end of the day when I was taking him home, and he thanked me for not putting him out of the car. He thanked me for talking to him. He thanked me for giving him some advice. I said, hey, one, I don't want you smoking. 2, I'm still an adult. 3, put on some cologne, have some mouthwash if that's what you are going to get into. But he was just nervous. He was beyond nervous. His anxiety was through the roof. We had him public speaking that day, but he thanked me on the ride home for meeting him where he was, and not being so upset and not being so adulty that, oh my God, you got in here and you smell like that. Get out. We'll get somebody else to do it. I'll do it. So that's just an example. I remember I used to be them, and wholeheartedly. And I share stories, I share examples with them that I sat in those seats. I needed mentors. I needed guidance. And that helps me always lead with respect, not to be judgy. I'm not going to let them hurt themselves. I'm not going to let them hurt others. But the stuff that they are exposed to at their ages, I don't know where I would be if I had the same technology and access to everything the way these young people do. So I constantly remind myself and our staff that you used to be that kid. So always lead with respect. Earning their trust, that could look like in different ways. I earned some trust that morning when I didn't put that young man out the car. I earned some trust when I show up and I might stop in the bathroom at the high school and they're vaping. Of course, you're going to hear my mouth. Of course, I'm going to take your vape, but I'm not going to, it's not the end of the world. It's so many other things that, I look at, you're in school. You have a 3.2 GPA. You're on this group and you're doing that group. Like, it's so many positives. So that's a big way to earn their trust. And that's how I earn their trust. Last one, I picked this up very young in this career. Don't tokenize youth. They talk about us and they know. Quick example with that, you have a board. You want youth participation on your board, but your meetings are 1 o'clock, second Thursday every month at 1 o'clock. The youth are where? In school. Do you really want youth on your board, or do you need to say that you want? Do you have to say? Does it look better to the people that's granting you money that you have youth on your board? When the youth are at the table, are they taken serious? Are they feeling welcomed? Are they supported? Do their ideas get brought to the table? Are they given a safe space where they can discuss their ideas? And not saying all their ideas are what we're going to do or what we're going to follow, But we, just like any other board member, regardless if you're in high school or middle school, whatever that looks like, you have a voice. If we really want you on this board, we're not going to tokenize you. We're going to hear you. We're going to respect you at every turn. Next slide, please. Relate. That's the second R in the triple R approach. Find that common ground. I've walked into juvenile detention situations and a group of young men looking at me, and I'm looking at them, and we're filling each other out. And I have to immediately find the common ground before I lose the room. I had a situation one time, a young man looked at my sneakers. I'm a sneaker guy. What size are those, Mr. Paul? So I looked. I grew up in Washington, D.C. Just not gonna ask me what size my sneakers are. Like, that's almost a fighting question. So I looked at him and I said, they're your size. Whole room got quiet. That kid was the leader. He was the ringleader of that room. But because I answered the question the right way, he knew I was from where he was from. Maybe not the same neighborhood, maybe not the same city, but it was a test. At the end of that group, we're packing up, and my lady colleague that was there, she said, were they really his size? Did you know they were his size? And I just shook my head and bust out laughing at her. I'm like, it really wasn't about the size of the shoes. It was my answer. I said, if I would have told him, oh, these are 12 and a half, you like them? He would have knew that, I want to find the right word. He would have knew that I wasn't authentic in what I was presenting, right? He would have knew that I was, the kids don't say square anymore, but he just would have knew that I wasn't that guy. The answer won the whole room over. The answer won. I needed him to help me get across my message and to get across what I was trying to teach, my presentation that day. And it's little stuff like that, finding the common ground. We do it with music. I'm not turned off by the language. We do it with sports, of course. We find what they like, and once you establish that common ground, you can get kids to pretty much do anything. Never taking yourself too serious. That's a big one. I get joked on, right? I might wear something or or say something from my youth, the 90s and the 80s, being an 80s baby and a 90s kid, and I'm Unc. Unc is an affectionate term, but they're still making jokes. I'm not turned off because I'm Unc. Like, I get it, I understand. Even with my lessons. And this one I really want you to keep with you, put it in your back pocket, put it in your toolbox. I have worked on presentations, I have worked on ideas, I've called people like, hey, we're gonna do this on Tuesday when we meet. And you get there and you've put in so much time in as the professional, right? You got your handouts, you know what you want to talk about, the food is there, everything's perfect. But this group, they don't want to do that day. They don't want to discuss something happened. It might have been an altercation in school. It might have been the Super Bowl the night before. It could have been anything, but that's where their focus is. So as the professional and as the adult, we'll get back to my presentation. I'll get you guys again. I'll get this same group again. And honestly, we're going to freeform this group. Y'all are saving me some work because I already have a whole group in my back pocket that I don't have to prepare for. But my point is, I'm not going to make them, focus on what I'm the adult. Like, you have to pivot, you have to be flexible. And long as I can still get across, like if we're talking, let's just use the Super Bowl just happened. So we'll use the Super Bowl as an example. If something happened in that Super Bowl and that's all they want to talk about, now it's my job to be flexible and find something that I can still leave them with a jewel. So maybe somebody showed a great sign of sportsmanship, and I'm going to get that across to them. Maybe Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, they finally lost one, and they had to be gracious in defeat. They weren't able to, pout about it or show bad sportsmanship. Like, it's a lesson and a loss. So I'll still grab something and find something, even though it wasn't this wonderful lesson that I spent 3 hours putting together. And I worked on Sunday night getting together for them, and I thought this was just going to be what they wanted. So don't take yourself too serious. Keep it 100. It goes back to the last slide with authenticity. Keep it 100. Just say what you mean what you say. They're big on that. If I have to discipline, if I have to go to a principal or vice, whatever that looks like, it's going to be some type of disciplinary action, I'm going to let them know. They're not going to be blindsided, right? Hey, you crossed the line, you broke the rules, you're gonna have to be accountable, and I'm gonna have to let people know that this is what happened. If I say I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be there. If I say I'm coming to your basketball game, I'm coming to your basketball game. I'm always going to, I mean, stuff happens, stuff comes up. I'll report into them like they're my boss. I'll shoot them a text, right? Hey, such and such came up at work, or such and such came up at home. I'm not gonna make it. I have your schedule. I will get to a game before the end of the season. I will get to a game next week. Once they realize that you're keeping it 100 with them, they'll keep it 100 with you. I get so much information, and we're able to be on top of so much stuff just because kids feel comfortable coming to us. And it's not just me; it's people on our staff. We're in every school in Kent County. We're in a lot of schools on the shore, but administration loves us because we're able to help them stay in front of stuff because we keep it 100. We keep it 100 with our kids. As adults, I think that I got a question from Rosalind. How do you help adults who are unfamiliar with today's youth learn about and learn from today's, it went away, youth? I believe that was the rest of the question. Rosalind, I hope I can answer that for you. It's stuff like this. Again, it's nothing, it's no secret formula. We haven't reinvented the wheel. We're present. We're around them. We have a younger staff. I'm probably the oldest person that works day to. I don't even do day to day anymore with our youth, but I'm still around them in other facets and other activities. You're not going to get that from reading a book. You're not going to get. I'll give you some jewels that I can, but really the secret is just being there and being around them and being present and showing up and listening and sometimes listening is just turning my ears on and keeping my mouth shut because they talk. They're comfortable, so they're. And I might swing back. Hey, you said earlier in the van. Da, 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 da. What was you talking about? You heard me? Yeah, I heard you. What was you talking about? And then they'll run it down to you. But it's not an overnight thing. It's just something that you have to be present there. I seen how to recruit men. I don't know. Um, I don't know how to recruit men. I don't think it's a lot of men in this field. Like you can look around this call, and it's mostly women. I look in boardrooms and conference rooms and stuff like that. It's this is a woman driven field, and that's not a bad thing. I think that you have to look at the men that are already doing stuff in your community. All right, so where aren't you going to see a lot of women around youth and youth football? I coach our little league too. I coach our 13U. We don't have any women on any of the 4 teams staff wise, but we have between those 4 teams, we probably have 30 coaches, all men. So that's a great place. Go to some of these youth sports and pull a coach to the side and ask, hey, I see you're already coaching basketball. We're trying to do X, Y, and Z, or we're looking for a board member. We got this program we think you might be a good fit for. It's just going to the men, going to your local barbershops, talk to the owner, form a relationship with the owner. Men are always in barbershops. Just got to be creative and think outside the box. And then also, and we could debate this and go back and forth. What we do with our youth football, we have we have convicted felons, I think, coaching. We have guys with misdemeanors. We have guys. Our thing is, um, when we're voting and debating, and we get the background check, um, no children, no crimes against kids. That's an automatic disqualify, right? And then definitely like no crimes against women. And then nonviolent offenses, right? So it might be a drug conviction, it might be a simple marijuana possession, it might be a DUI, it might be whatever it looks like. We're not turning those guys away. We're giving them a chance. And so that's just my 2 cents on that. I hope I answered your question. I don't even remember who threw that question out there, but I hope, Rosalind, I hope I answered your question. And then the question about men, I hope I answered that. Um, Listen to hear and not to respond. Um, that's new on this slide, and I actually picked that up from my wife. I like to talk. I get excited to talk. I want to talk, but sometimes in me wanting to talk, I'm not hearing. And working with young people, you have to hear. Sometimes I have to get quiet. I have to make myself get quiet. Because if I blurt something out too fast, one, I might be missing the whole point of what they were even talking about because I got an idea or I want to jump in and save them. Sometimes these young people are working out themselves if you just listen, right? It's the end of the world. This problem is the biggest thing they've dealt with. But if you just give them your eyes and you're present with them and you're in the moment with them and you're quiet and you're actively listening and participating in the conversation, we have young people that solve those problems themselves. We're just like, hey, I didn't even really say anything, but are you happy with the outcome of this? Yes, I'm going to do this. I feel so much better now, Coach Paul. Cool. Coach Paul did nothing but listen. I didn't even have to say anything. So make sure that you're listening, being a safe space, and listening to hear them, not to respond to them. Next slide, please. The last of the the triple R is remain. Self-sabotage is real. It's real with adults, and it's even more real with young people. If they can run you off, they'll run you off because it's easier to run you off than to actually do the work, right? It's easier to run you off and get rid of you because they were mean to you or they used some language or they were disrespectful. Than you being there with them, getting to know them getting to know you, and then unpacking whatever that looks like. So we take nothing personal. I've had kids cuss me. I've had kids call me all types of things. I don't take it personal. I'm more concerned with oh, that's at the bottom, so I won't say that now. Don't take it personal though. Go home, get with a colleague, your better half, and vent it out to them. If you have a bad day with the young people, don't let them know they got to you, or don't let them run you off. You have to remain. Love them through it. That's big. I've had kids. I'll give you an example on this. Doncella told me I need to give you all examples, so I'm going to make sure I'm throwing some examples in here. We had a men's conference at UMES probably 4 or 5 years ago, and a kid in it being super disrespectful. We brought in all these presenters from the Western Shore and the Eastern Shore, and we're feeling really good about this program. And this young man, he was just posturing so much disrespect. He was talking while the presenters was talking, slouched down in his chair, just not being what we wanted the young man to be. And so I called him on it, and he blows up. He gets very defensive, and he's saying some stuff out of his mouth. So I'm like, hey, let's step out into the hallway. We step out into the hallway, me and another mentor, and before I could get anything out, he bust out crying. I hugged him, pulled him in close, hugged him. Hey, listen, I'm not here to challenge you. I'm not here to disrespect you. I'm not here to do anything besides be a friend and get to know you through this weekend. And then, you'll have my contact and we can follow up after this weekend is over. But you're going to do X, Y, and Z when you're in these groups. And when he got himself together, he accepted that hug. The tension left with the hug. He just needed that. That's what he was seeking, that attention. And all the posturing, it's easy for what he's cussing and doing all the stuff he was doing. You call your parents, you can go home. But that's not remaining, right? We have to figure out the why. Then we're able to figure out, okay, he grew up in a house with grandmom and mom. So here I come, an aggressive Black man, giving him directions, not being mean to him, just simply giving him directions. He took that as a challenge. He took that as I was challenging him or I was disrespecting him. And so, yes, even negative attention needs attention. So that's an example of loving them through it all. I get angry. I get disappointed with the act, but not the person. And we tell our young people that all the time. You're going to make mistakes. We make mistakes. That's part of growing up. That's part of figuring it out. I'm disappointed with you. I'm upset. I'm angry. But we make it a point to tell them, not with you, but with the act, right? We can't have that act. You have to learn from this act. We're not going to continue this behavior. You're still special. You're still my guy. You're still my girl. You're still welcome here. But we have to clean up the act because we're not happy with the act. I spoke on it a little bit, talking about 1, 2, and 3, but figure out the why. It's not a kid out here who doesn't want to be loved or want to make a connection. But again, they'll run you off if they can, because it's easier. We're not going to allow them to do that. We will figure out the why. We get together as a team And we bring up those tough cases and we talk about them and we discuss them, and with all the minds around the table, we're able to throw stuff out, and maybe that's the why. Had a kid lashing out a couple weeks ago in the elementary school. Good kid. Principal calls. Are you free? Are you around? Are you local? I'm on my way. I get there. He refused to take his hood off. They've been going through it all day. This is later in the afternoon. They've been going through it, and he's crying and he's being defiant and he's not budging. He's not taking his hood off. I was there for 5 minutes and I figured out mom made him get a haircut he didn't like. That's the why. That messed up the whole morning, and he's disrupted class and all that. And so we came to a understanding, and he was able to get through the rest of the day. He wasn't suspended. He didn't get any detention, but I just let the principal, that's the why. So you have to figure out that why. Before we jump, and not really close out the triple R's, but move on a little bit, are there any questions on respect, relate, and remain? All right, cool. No questions. We'll go to the next slide, please. Pick your battles, an expression that means to decide which issue worth fighting for and which is to let go of. It is often used in the context of relationships such as friendship, work, and school. Pick your battles. This is a conversation, an ongoing conversation that we have up here in Kent County with some of our teachers, have it with some of our coaches. We can be very rigid sometimes in education. We can be very rigid. I've coached football for over 15 years. I also played football all the way through high school. I'll just use football as the example on this one. I would get run out of any coaching position probably in America if I coach kids in 2025 the way I was coached in 1994. It just, we know better now. We do better now. So even though I'm an old school guy and I played through two-a-days and we didn't get a lot of breaks in the heat, we were in practice, you know, and we had to get to it. That's what the times dictated, and that's what our coaches knew how to do. We can't do that anymore. We have to change with the times. And we had a young man. I don't have a lot of examples with young girls or young women that we work with, but so I feel like I'm picking on the boys. But had an old school teacher, close to retiring, and we had a senior. And the senior needed this class to graduate. He wasn't just in there because it was on his schedule. He actually needed this class to graduate. If he failed, he was not going to walk. And we spent the first semester with him probably being absent or kicked out of that class 3 to 4 times a week. And he was failing that class because he refused to take his newbie off. Get out there, they called us in, get out there, and Coach Paul, he's the only teacher that has a problem with this newbie. I wear my newbie around all day. He's the only one that makes me take it off. He's picking on me. He's not picking on you. He's a black man. He's older. That's a sign of respect. Taking your hat off, taking your newbie off. That's all it is. He didn't convey that to the kid. The kid really thought that he had a problem with him. The teacher was at his wits' end and just, you can't come in, you can't come in, you can't come in. But what is that going to solve? The goal needs to be to get this kid graduated. The goal needs that he needs to be in his class. He needs to learn. Was the teacher wrong? Absolutely not. It's a rule. But could he have picked his battle a whole lot better? Y'all know how to work the emojis. Put your hands up if he could have picked this battle a little bit better, please, on your screen. If you don't have your camera on, I'm not asking you to turn on. Just use the emoji to throw your hand up. If you're the thumbs up, yeah, any of that. Right. Absolutely, he could have picked this battle better. Right. You got this kid that's a senior and he needs your class. It's not going to make or break your lesson plan or your day if he's wearing that newbie. I'm not saying he was wrong because I know old school men. And again, I'm 44 and I still go places and a friend's father might be like, "You're not taking your hat off?" No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But I get it. But no, I'm not. But you know, that just wasn't. He didn't need to make such a hard line in the sand where we could have potentially had this kid going to summer school and not been able to walk. phones, and I will pick on my young ladies with this. Our young ladies have their phones out while we're talking. I have a quick little, I'll see it, I'll notice it. I'm not bothered by it. I'll keep talking. Then I'll call on them. Such and such, she had her phone out. I'm calling on her. More often than not, look up and answer the question and can regurgitate what I was talking about. They're paying attention, but it's comfort. It's what they do. It's their generation. That's not a battle I'm about to fight. I'm not about to sabotage this whole lesson or this whole group and get into an argument or debate about your phone because I just called on you and you were able to gave it right back to me, and you were right. So that's pretty much it for picking and choosing your battles. Don't next slide, please. How to pick your battles. Consider the consequences of an argument. Communicate instead of yell. Pause before reacting. Choose the right time. Consider your goals. Ask yourself if it's important to you. And that's what I was about to say on the last slide. I'm not breaking morals. I'm not breaking respect. That's my biggest thing. Like I lead with respect. I want respect back. So I'm never going to break that for any young person. But long as it doesn't infringe on that, I'm not interested in battling with you. I'm not, I don't have that energy. I'd rather you be here than me kicking you out. I'd rather you be here with your phone out, with your hat on, with your hood on, safe, hearing, even if you're not participating, it's just not something I'm interested in doing as far as getting rid of that kid or giving up on that kid. I'm meeting them where they are. Choosing the right time. That's huge. I never, and we never challenge kids in front of the group. We try to separate them. As long as, again, it's not breaking or making me sacrifice any of my core values or beliefs, I can pull them to the side. I can wait till we break to go get a snack or wait till they break to go get pizza. Hey, real quick, come here, come into the back. Let me talk to you real quick. What was that about? And oftentimes it's a whole different interaction because I didn't challenge them or poke with them or pick with them in front of the group. It gives me time to pause before reacting as well. I'm thinking about the goals constantly. If I get into it right now because this kid refuses to take that shiesty off, what am I doing to the other 15 kids in this room? Are they going to get what they need to get from me today? Are they going to get what they need to get from each other today? If I draw a hard line in the sand because this kid doesn't want to take this shiesty off. So always pick your battles, pick them wisely. And if it's not, I understand time to get down for this generation. My issue is the adult to kid respect line too often. And then it cuts off. Is it a way for me to get the rest of that question?
I can read it to you, Paul.
Okay, thank you.
It reads, I understand toning it down for this generation. My issue is the adult to kid respect line too often is overstepped when we don't hold them to the high standard.
Okay. We don't have that problem because we will check you. We will get on your top. Is what we say to them. We're not playing those games. Get on the bus with 40, 45 kids. I don't have a long list of rules. I'm giving them one or two rules, and we hiccups here and there, but because we lead with respect, we get respect back. We're not crossing that boundary of respect ever. I hope it doesn't sound like that because that's not what we do. But I'm not going to draw that hard line in the sand about something that's small to me. I'm never going to do that. And believe it or not, I'm still very much old school. That's actually in slides later on. Are you saying that practicing all the other things generally work and taking away that? Can you read that? Okay. We'll get. Hold on at the Hottie. I want to finish up with that. So, I've seen it in other situations, and I think it's the person. I really do. I think that if you're not practicing the 3 R's or you don't have a relationship and you haven't earned that trust, kids can be volatile. I've seen it. We've been called into situations where the kid is giving everybody the business, and we're able to go in and redirect and not have any problems. It doesn't always work. I wouldn't sit here and lie to y'all and say that it does, but more times than it doesn't. More times it works than it doesn't. So I'm not asking you to again sacrifice core values or beliefs. I'm not asking you to be their friend. I'm asking you to put the group before the one issue, or if it's not something that really is going against what you are for, then is it worth throwing away that group, or is it worth arguing with that kid or getting into it with that kid? That's the point I'm trying to drive home to you all. Never sacrifice respect or, again, the core values of your program. But if you want these young people to be engaged and you want them in them seats and you want them to come back to your program, you got to meet them where they are. Did I answer that question? And do we need to talk about it some more before we move on? Okay, can you read letting them know we are not peers on the same playing field, but that you can relate? Totally, Monique, totally. That's what we do. Totally. Even to the point where, and then Heidi will come to you. I got a 45-minute group. They're wound up. For whatever reasons, they're wound up. I get that. I can feel the energy when they come in the room. Look, this is what we're gonna do. Y'all gonna give me 30 minutes to get through boo, 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 boo. And then the last 15, whatever y'all want to talk about, whatever y'all want to do. Again, I'm meeting them where they are. You can have that 15. Give me this 30. Let me get off what I need to get off. Let me get what I need to get across to you all. And then at 15, we can talk about ASAP Rocky winning his last trial. We can talk about what Taylor Swift had on him at the game. Whatever has their attention, I'll give it to you. But you're going to give me this 30 minutes. And that works. I do it all the time. We do it, our staff, we do it all the time. Heidi, can we read Heidi's question now, please? Or her comment?
I can tell you. I
Oh.
think that you covered it, but I think that because I have done this. It's like no, like I have drawn the line and thinking that that line shouldn't be crossed. But if I go back, I realize that maybe I didn't truly practice all of the things that I should have to get that respect, and I didn't do all of those things. And the thing that maybe I'm choosing to really fight doesn't really matter. Even though, yeah, maybe it isn't showing respect at this time, in the long run, my outcomes would be better if I try to really go back and practice all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, of course, there's always outliers. But I think that, and, you know, it's hard for some of us older women to realize that maybe we didn't do those things. Even though we think we are, we're not cool or hip, and we don't know, but we might have thought we were doing the right thing. So that was all. I was just a comment more than anything else.
Okay. And I agree with you. And I'm also not agreeing with you from the point of looking over at you all saying y'all not doing. I haven't done it as well. I'm not cool and hip anymore. I still think I am. They remind me often that I'm not. I'm 44, right? So I've been doing this for a while. I have a group now who have kids. I have kids out there that I've mentored and coached, and I'm coaching their kids. My son is 14 years old next month. He tells me all the time how uncool I am. You know, I mean, that's depending on what day of the week and who you ask. Like I tell him all the time, well, your friends love me. You don't, because it's your job to be my number one hater. All right. But it's I'm starting to understand we have younger staff. And I told you all that I'm probably the oldest staff that's still in the schools. Our staff are all younger than me. And it took me for a loop walking in, and the kids that would usually run up to me, they're running up to our staff. The younger men and the younger women. And I'm like, well, this is why I'm not here every day anymore. I'm not, but, and that's fine. And that's fine. But when I do get them, I still practice those principles. Can we go to the next slide, please? Big with this, and it's all on picking and choosing your battles. If it's not necessary, what does it benefit or gain? What do you gain from conflict with the kid? I see this in the schools. I'm not picking on our school systems. They are trying, they are learning, they are doing different things, but some of the conflict can be avoided just practicing the 3 R's and understanding the why. I'm not picking with you when you seen dad put his hands on mom last night. I'm not picking with you this morning about the hood being on when you came in here hungry. I'm not picking with you, right, about you not wanting to take that jacket off in here where you feel like you weren't properly able to clean yourself and put deodorant on. So you feel like you take this jacket off, that smell is gonna permeate this room. I gotta know the why before I engage in conflict in it. And once you learn the why, often you don't have to engage in conflict. It's better to choose peace over conflict and to focus on what's important. Save time and energy. It's not practical to try to deal with every issue at once. It is better to engage in conversations that are meaningful rather than argue over things that do not matter. I'm in the office one morning 2 years ago, and I'm chatting it up with the administrators and the secretary in the office, and in comes one of my kids. He's a senior, and he signs in and he speaks, keeps going. He leaves the office. Whole front of the office where we're standing reeks of marijuana, and I'm losing my mind because like y'all just let him come in here like that. Like nobody is checking him on that smell, and they looked at me like I was the problem. The whole office staff and the administrator jumped on me. He has a 3.8. He's going to graduate. He comes in 10 minutes late every day with his Dunkin' Donuts, and he goes to class and does all of his work, and he bothers nobody. We're not picking with him about it. Picking and choosing your battles. 3.8 does his work, on pace to graduate, but he comes in here reeking of marijuana every day. Also has some medical issues, not justifying it. Probably been through over 15 surgeries in his lifetime. And really an overachiever for the battles that he's had to go through with his health. Pick and choose your battles, avoid unnecessary conflict. Next slide. Sure. I'll give you all the. I'm not even going to read that. I think I've said it already. As young as I think I still am, and as much as I don't take myself serious, I think that we do have to meet these kids where they are. It's the only way that it works. But I'm never asking you all. I'm who I am because of old school rearing. Whether I agree with everything that my parents in my village did and how they did it, that's a whole nother conversation for me and my therapist. But they did the best that they knew how. They instilled respect into me. And so that's what I'm pushing, not only with my kids, but all my outside kids in the community and in these groups. We're going to have fun. We're going to cut up. We're going to laugh. We're going to joke. But when it's serious time, it's serious time. We had the governor come here, Governor Westmore, and then also Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller. And we picked the kids. They know when it's lights, camera, action. They don't have to be prompted. They know what we expect. Coming to get you from school, your parents already contact, let them know we could grab you. The governor's coming. You're gonna look like something, and you're gonna act accordingly. It's the governor and the lieutenant governor of the state of Maryland. That's not a lot of prep, but that's because of the relationships that we have with them. We did no dress rehearsals, gave them no prompts on what to say. But because of the work that we've done with them over the last 5 years, 6 years, they know when it's time to show up. And they're gonna lead with respect because that's how we meet them. We don't pull teeth to put a kid on stage at the MLK concert. Might reek of marijuana, right? But we didn't have to beg them or bribe them to get them on that stage. We don't have to beg or bribe to get you to come talk to the governor because of the 3 R's and because of how we work day to day, because we remain, because we relate. Can't disrespect us. So I'm not, if again, I'm going to drive that home one more time. I hope nobody takes away that Paul is saying, sacrifice your respect or sacrifice your boundaries or throw away your core values. That's how you get. I'm not saying that. I'm saying pick and choose your battles. Meet them where they are. Relate to them. Be authentic. Show up. Love them through it. Can we read that question?
Yes. How are how in the future would you consider raising the topic with the high achiever in terms of future possible consequences? And Rosalind, you can jump in and expound a little more if you like.
Yeah, please expound on that.
My thinking is that he might achieve and be terribly high achieving academically, but given my experience as a therapist, this young man then moves into the other world and has to navigate the use in terms of either the work world or even in education. And there are real life consequences that could come. And then helping him do problem solving and do some thinking about future orientation, even if it's medical marijuana, given the fact that I know some of the clients I have who have medical marijuana cards, and their employers know this, but still have fired them. So this is the thing that I'm wondering is, okay, how do you navigate beginning to have that young person understand that there are consequences and how to deal with it without having him believe that you're belittling, you are judging, or whatever. I'm just interested in knowing if or would you, in terms of timing, because I think timing is very important, raise that issue.
Oh, that's a great question. And I'll even admit, Miss Rosalind, I probably dropped the ball a couple years ago by not circling back and having a conversation with him, because as a senior, he was about to graduate. So even though administrators and even though staff, they knew his situation and they were cool with it because he was a high achiever. I wonder if anybody had that conversation about the real world. And so what that would have looked like you said, timing, pulled him to the side, just me and him. Hey, you know, you're going to college or you're going to the workforce or trade school, whatever that look like, you can't show up in these places smelling like that. You have to keep some cologne. You have to keep some mouthwash. You have to have some eye drops. So definitely would have had that type of conversation with him just to get him prepared for the next level, whatever his endeavors were. Because like you said, they accepted it at that school, but he was on his way out into the real world. So that's how I would approach it. And that's probably how we should have approached it those couple years ago. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I end up in the other end getting an employer, because I do employee assistance work, who does random testing, and depending upon how the employer perceives the person's value, or unions, etc., the person may be given an opportunity to figure out, is there another way, even if there is a medical problem, or if there is not, decide, okay, what kind of work am I going to select or schooling that may accept what I'm doing in terms of a harm reduction way, because that's another option. In terms of somebody who obviously is quite young and has another 60, 70 years to live. So thank you for your comment.
Yes, ma'am. All right, can we go to the next slide? When I say we get on the bus, charter bus full of kids, maybe one or two other suggestions or rules that we give them, but this is the one. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Do not make us leave you in this strange city and your parents come get you. Because if you're not doing this and you cross a line or you break a rule, then we're going to have a problem. But as long as we're doing this, the golden rule, we're going to be fine. And like I said, we've gone all the way to Alabama, up and down the East Coast, Canada, and we've not had to leave one kid. We bring them home. They haven't gotten any troubles. We've gotten compliments on the way they've acted in public and the way they've maneuvered through some situations. So that's it. We don't give them 20, 30, 40, 50 rules. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Lead with respect. Next slide. What triple R look like? Respect, relate, and remain. Just threw some pictures in here. We got some equine therapy in there. We got our boys group on some college campuses. Football player, he's over at University of Maryland right now. Our little gentlemen's group, that's at Garnett Elementary School. That football picture you look up there, we took probably 45, 50 kids to Tennessee to play football. We took all 4 of our teams right before Thanksgiving. Top left, I don't know if it's coming up the top left on y'all, one of my favorites. We did a trauma obstacle course at our high school, and the young man really loved that. That's just a picture up there. But it's all respect, relating, and remain. That's how we have these relationships. That's how we're able to do what we do. And that's the passion. That's the job. That's what we love to do here at MDA. Next slide. Thank you for your time. If we didn't get your question now, we can get them. We can conversate a little bit about anything you all want to talk about. That's my contact information and phone number and the beautiful Minary's Dream logo up there in the corner.
Paul, we have a question in the chat. How involved do you get with the parents?
Overly involved. You all know if you're doing programming, and we figured this out early. We have a parent engagement coordinator on staff who that's her whole focus. Parents, household, and what that looks like, and trying to make sure we're sending them home to a better environment. You get a kid and you program with them, and you're sending them back into a toxic or a bad environment. Then you get that kid again maybe 2 days later, and you're starting from scratch every single time. That's like the worst thing in the world. You make progress, you're getting them, you're building, but they're going home, and it's not good. So then you get them back, and you're starting over. So that's what our parent engagement coordinator helps us with. We got the kids, she has the parents. And we're trying to, while we're working with the kid and helping the kid, she's working with the parents and trying to help the parents or the caregivers. And we've had some success with that. Not as much as we want. It's still hard. Like parents are catching blues out here, right? In the economy and all the stuff going on in the world. So a parent does not want another meeting, especially we're not the school. So we're not asking you to come in and talk about grades, or we're the extracurricular programming. We want you to come after work and have some pizza and talk to us. So it's a struggle, but we try to be creative. We try to incentivize when finances allow us to incentivize, and they definitely know they can contact our parent engagement coordinator for problems and stuff that arise. So, yes.
Another question, Paul, from Rosalind. I'm impressed you have a diverse group. How have you navigated that, particularly in a part of the state where there have been past challenges?
You'd be shocked. Like when we first started advertising programming, just because we're Black led and Black run, people automatically assumed that it was just for Black kids. And we had to let them know, no, it's not. And not only did we let them know, we showed them that. Like we have tons of we're diverse. A lot of kids come through these doors, and not just Black kids, and they need help and they need resources. So we've navigated it just by modeling what we say. We didn't say it's just for Black kids, and now we have to show you all that. So when we're recruiting all kids. If you meet the criteria and you want to be here and you need the services, we want you to be here and we want you to receive the services. So it's just actually keeping it 100 and doing what we say we're going to do.
Any other questions for Paul? Well, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Paul and Minary's Dream Alliance. You've given some really good tips. Myself with old school parents, and I'm a little bit old school and I have a few years on you, so I had to adjust with my teens and young adults. So I will take these tips and continue on. So on behalf of Mental Health Association of Maryland and the Children's Mental Health Matters team, again, Paul, we just want to thank you. We want to thank all of you for joining us here today. You'll receive a follow-up email with a link to this presentation as well as a survey, so we can get your feedback and continue to bring these dynamic topics to you. Join us for next month's children's webinar on March 20th at 11:30. Hosted by For All Seasons Incorporated, for the topic of healing from the inside out, the neurobiology of trauma in children. If you haven't already, we invite you to sign up as a 2025 Children's Mental Health Matters champion. You'll be joining a growing network of Marylanders advocating for the mental well-being of children and communities across the state. We look forward to working with all of you to support families and communities across Maryland. If you have any questions about our webinars or our campaign, please feel free to reach out to us at info@cmhm.mhand.org. Thanks again, Paul, and thank you to everyone, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.